Okay, Jennifer, thank you so much. And thanks those of you who are watching with us live, or if you're watching this later, we're always so happy that you tune in. We love getting your questions and follow up, and we love hearing that you've reached out to our experts. So we're so happy that you've joined us today. My name is Ann McClure. I'm a residential realtor with McInerney Associates Realtors here in the DC metro region, and I'm licensed and work by referral in close in Northern Virginia, Montgomery County, Maryland. I've got partners who help me cross the river in DC, but we have people who we found out have been watching from all over the place. And so no matter where you are, I think this information is relevant. Welcome to Ask the Expert. This week's episode is called Home Automation, Smart Home Automation, actually. The future is here. So it's going to be very exciting. We have our guest, Tim Cobb, right here, who you will get to hear a little bit more about, here in a little bit. But I first wanted to share something about Ask the Expert and what we're going to do here today, and then a little bit about the market. So we started Ask the Expert well before the pandemic. We used to do it live in a room, and we would invite several experts, and they would rove around with their name tags on, and we would invite our clients and friends, and they would come so that they could meet with people like Tim, and they have questions about setting up a home AV system, or questions about building a deck or landscape design or whatever. And we would have our experts roving, and our clients and guests could ask questions. And then when the pandemic hit, we really wanted to still get great information out to people about good local businesses and service providers. And so Jennifer, who works with me, my colleague, came up with the idea to just, why don't we interview one company every so often, and we can get them some exposure, and we can get really good information out to people about the given topic. So that is what we are doing today. This is Ask the Expert, and we are with Tim Cobb of Revelation Services. Hi, Tim.
Good afternoon, Ann.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy that you're here, and we're looking forward to hearing more from you.
Oh, it's wonderful to be here. Thanks for having us.
Tim has been operating his business in the area for several years. Before he started Revelation Services, which does home automation and a whole variety of things that I didn't even realize were part of home automation that you'll hear about. Tim worked in the telecom industry. And Tim, I meant to write it down, but was it was Sprint or no? AT&T?
I believe it or not, I started with Chesapeake and Potomac back.
You don't look that old.
Thank you. Yeah, so I started back in the 90s. Then that became Bell Atlantic, which now today has merged and reorganized to Verizon. Okay,
gotcha. Well, I know you've got a lot of years of background in this and related fields, and we're really happy to have you here today. You work all over the DMV, right?
Yes, we cover about a 45 mile radius, and then if somebody calls that's just outside, we'll work with them. If they can't find a qualified company, we'll make arrangements to cover them as well.
And I like that because I know that you powwow with other people in the industry. And so you're probably able to make referrals to people if they're watching, but not in our area, right?
Yes.
Real quick, Tim, before we jump into it, I wanted to start with a little bit of market information. I'm going to make this a bit more anecdotal. Sometimes I go real fact-based. But what I want to share today is that we track something called absorption rates. And if you've worked with me on buying or selling, you've heard me talk about this. If you look at a given set of criteria, I'll make something up. You're looking for a home in Bethesda, Maryland, maybe Chevy Chase, Kensington, South Rockville. You're looking detached, and you want to buy anywhere between 700 and 900,000. We might pull all the listings that were on the market in the last 30 days and see how many of them were absorbed or went under contract. And that's called the absorption rate. And typically, if we see 15 to maybe 33, 35% of homes go under contract in 30 days, it's a balanced market. Obviously, right now, we're in a very hot market, which means that the supply is very low and the demand is very high. And so we've seen absorption rates as high as in the 80% range in some sectors of the market here, which is crazy. So what we're noticing is that last year during the pandemic, things slowed down during our typical spring market because of the pandemic, and then they heated up in the summer and the fall, and they've just stayed hot all the way around till coming back to a full year. Well, what we're seeing now is a return a little bit more to the normal cycle. Still a very hot market, still very high absorption rates. However, April was a little hotter than May, and it looks like just a few days into June, May will be a little hotter than June. It's still a hot market, it's still fast paced, and we still don't have enough supply, but it is following more typical patterns as we've emerged and people are kind of getting back into more normal routines. And so this summer we may experience what we often do, which is a little bit of a slowdown. Again, in a market where we have no inventory, it's still going to remain hot, but it might not be just quite as fevered pitch as it was last summer. So if you want to know more about your particular segment of the market, your location, or an area you're interested in, let me know. If you're watching from another part of the country and you need a good realtor, I, like Tim, network all over the country. In fact, I saw one of my realtor friends who's a runner in a TV commercial this morning on the Today Show, and I had just referred her business from somebody here who has a house in her area. So if you need that kind of help, let us know. Not everybody I know is a local celebrity, but we do know a lot of really good realtors. So I don't want to delay anymore. I want to get to Tim Cobb with Revelation Services, and I want to talk about smart home automation. So Tim, thank you again for joining us. We're so happy that you're here.
Thanks, Ann.
Oh, I meant to mention real quick, we're doing this live, but we will make this available later. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on my Facebook page. It'll be on my website, annmcclure.com. And we also give it to Tim, so he'll have it too. So if you want to refer back to it, we have several ways you can get the information. If you want to send it to somebody, we're happy to always connect you with a link. So, don't be shy. We hope you'll tell people about this great information and share Tim's information. But if you have trouble putting your hands on it, just reach out to us later. We're always happy to get that to you and make it available. So Tim, let's just start off with a really basic question. I think that there are a lot of people who still don't know what home automation means and what all it encompasses. Like me, they may have an understanding, but not realize, oh, I didn't know it also included lighting or whatever. So could you start by telling us, what is home automation, what it encompasses, and if we hear a phrase like smart home technology, is that the same thing?
Yep, that's a great question, Ann. So what home automation is, our smart homes, is a two-way communication of all your devices and what they would used to traditionally call AV, audiovisual. So that encompasses your TVs, your home audio, and they now combine it within the home so that it's two-way communication. So it can then talk to the home and you can talk to it either there or remotely to enjoy all the facets of all the new technology that's available to us today.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I see here that we've got somebody controlling it from their smartphone, and it can be all these things you said, lighting, climate, which I guess would be like your HVAC.
Yes.
Maybe a fireplace that you can automate, right?
You can automate those. There's some rules to do that when you talk about fireplaces. That's more scenes where once you come home and you're actually there, you then activate the fireplace. You actually don't want to be able to do that and do it by mistake, and the fireplace is on when you're not there at the home. So you got there is the rules that you have to follow and safeguards that you have to build so that something like that couldn't happen. But yes, its ability is something as simple as you're on your way home. It's late at night. You want to, and it's pouring outside, pouring rain. You want to be able to drive in, open up your garage door, go right in, have your hands full because you've picked up dinner for the family. You go inside the house, you unlock it, so you can quickly just go right inside. And that's how you're able to use the tech right there to get into and activate your home.
So Tim, if somebody's watching this and they're like, I want all that convenience, but it's hard for me to envision because I'm not tech oriented, they can call someone like you. And basically what they need to understand is you consult with an expert like Tim. He can tell you what's possible. And this is all happening because of this two-way communication between, an object and whatever's controlling it through the internet, right?
Correct. You're using your apps. So when your phones are full with apps, you're able to go into those apps and then control either the whole home, parts of the home, or in this case, like I said, the garage door that's independent that works, and be able to control certain things in the home. And then to your point, when you're saying the two-way communications, that is all that, you're talking on your cell phone, which is cell based, then talking to the hard line that's talking to your home. So there's a lot of conversions going on there. And when people are looking at their home and seeing what's possible, we pride ourselves to ask the questions so that we ask the questions you may not have thought to ask, so that you get the most out of what you're trying to do, so that you don't go later on and have that feeling that, oh, I wish I'd known that then. We try to ask all the questions, do a thorough interview, and then make suggestions so that you get answered that you may not have known to ask.
It's like that question, is there anything else I should ask you that I haven't asked? Because
yes,
you're right. For a layperson like me, I might see something cool in a house when I'm showing it, but I don't know what it does exactly. And I don't even know necessarily how to ask you about it. It's like, I need you to paint the vision so I understand what's possible.
Exactly.
And that's really what I want. I want people who are watching this today who have thought, I want to do some of these cool things, but I don't know where to begin. And it's sort of overwhelming because they have no background in this. So, to that point, I always think about things in terms of someone buying or selling a home, right? And sometimes we open these closets and there's this media cabinet, of all blinking lights and components and wires. And my clients are like, oh, this is so cool. And then they buy it and they're like, I have no idea how to get this functioning, or, how do I go from 7 or 8 remotes down to 1? And is this like something that you offer? Is if a system's already existing, I know that you'll put them in for people, but if it's already existing, can you help them make heads and tails of it, or even do something as simple as hang the new TV?
Exactly. We work with a lot of independent realtors. We've worked with you in the past, where when we've come into the home, unfortunately, you don't see the blinking lights. All you see is the boondoggle of wire, and then we make sense of what it actually is. We've been established here since 2013. So we're very familiar with the area and the manufacturers that the builders had put into the homes, so we can find the pieces that are missing to make things work. A lot of times there's a lot of things going on when you're moving, and when you move in the home and then you start looking around, you can open up that closet, see the boondoggle wire, or you start walking around the home, see speakers in the ceiling, and you're like, man, I'd really like to be able to capture all this. And we're able to come in, work with the client, diagnose what the system is, see if it's working correctly, see if there's any pieces missing. And then if there is pieces that need to get, we can order them, put them in, and then explain to the client how to work it or update the system, because some of these systems have been in our area a very long time, and there's ways to update it to get more functionality and more enjoyment out of it, and take advantage of all the new services that are out there and available.
That's great, because I think that's one of the big things that confounds people is, I know that this could be really cool for me and I love having friends over and entertaining the kids or whatever it is, but I don't even know where to get started. So I love hearing that. And you made a really good point to me as a realtor that I just want to point out. You said that what would be great is to make sure that the contracts are written saying that the systems will work,
exactly,
as they were intended, and that there should be a way to demonstrate them working, right? So people know what they're getting, and so that it works when they move in, if that's the intention to convey it. In other words, I mean, it could be that somebody's taking things with them, but a lot of times when we show the property, what we see there is being left.
Yeah.
So,
but yes, like you said, and a lot of realtors are doing that, specifically saying to make sure that that's not something overlooked.
Yeah, because these systems are expensive, right? I mean,
yes,
people could have really over the years done a lot and wired things outside and set up home theaters and so on. So
and that's the thing. I mean, not only wiring, but there's programming that goes with these systems. So even if they leave the heart of the equipment in the home, they're programmed to work with their external equipment. So what I mean by that is they may have a control system in that controls the TV and the music, but they left the receiver there, but they took their TV with them. Now the new person comes in, is bringing their TV, so they're going from, say, a Samsung to a Sony, and instead of having Comcast, now they want Fios.
Mhm.
So even though you're introducing new components, so there is a programming aspect to all this that you have to make sure is covered, so that they understand that when they move in, there's still going to be some investment necessary to program it so that these will talk to one another again, to the new components, using the new ISP on the new network that you're establishing when you move in here in
Yeah,
the area.
that makes a lot of sense, because you know, I'm going to make myself sound really dumb right now, but you know, there's a part of you that goes, I just want to plug it in and be able to
Correct.
see it. And you're right. I mean, there are a lot of things that have to talk to each other, and we need an expert like you to help set it up. But you know, I mentioned the home theater or music outside, and that sounds pretty fancy. What about like the person who just has a TV they want hung, or I've even heard you mention, depending on how a builder builds a home. So we're talking construction the last 20 to 30 years up to
Mhm.
right now. A lot of people like to put that TV over the fireplace. And I think you've told me before that sometimes they're not really built for that, right? Like the structure is not correct.
Well, the structure is correct. The fireplace is correct. What it is,
Yeah,
so
yeah, for
one
a
thing,
TV.
yeah. So one thing we ask for pictures. If they have pictures when that TV, I mean, when that fireplace is being constructed, it's framed a certain way. So all these something as basic as a TV, the mounting systems are all very, very similar, and they want to be mounted or screwed into um, framing. So they want to be, the framing of the fireplace. Well, if it's drywall, there's tools that's commonly used that people are familiar with, like stud finders and things that'll work through drywall, but it doesn't work through stone and some of the newer applications, tile or slate, the things that we now see the people are applying over their fireplaces. So to be able to mount that TV, we have to be able to attach to that surface, and we have to find those things within the fireplace. And we know with our experience how certain things are framed, but they may not be where we can find them. So if you have pictures of that fireplace being built, we can find the substructure underneath to be able to attach the mounting to. So
Yeah.
that's what makes it a little bit more challenging. And that's why you have to make sure you hire a professional company to mount it so that it does attach correctly, and then know the difference between when and what mounts you can use to safely put your TV up on the fireplace.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I see these beautiful, like very modern tile walls with the big wide gas fireplaces, and they're very pretty, but you want to make sure you can do it and don't have a TV smashing to the ground. And it's actually a really good segue. Jennifer just pulled up this tips when building a home. So I've heard you say that if you're building a home or doing a larger scale remodel, it makes sense to plan now for technology later. So can you share with us a little bit about what you mean about that? And I think we've got some sort of, pointers here as well.
We're looking. It looks like the construction site. So a couple different things. So if you're constructing, that we'll start with we'll keep with the fireplace. I work with builders all the time, and I ask them to put what's called Smurf tubing or corrugated tubing into the fireplace, so that not only in like today's environment where we're using HDMI cables are changing to keep up with the technology of 1080p to 4K to now 8K TVs. And each time we make those jumps, we have to update our cabling, what takes the signal from one point to the other. You still need a hard line to connect back there. There isn't a Bluetooth connection or a Wi-Fi connection between the TV and the ISPs or cable companies' cable box. So there's still a wire there. So when we work with builders, we put a Smurf tube there with what's called a drag string, so that we can take old cabling out and put new cabling in. And then we do the same thing when they're building the home, is if we can put some of that tubing in, then as technology is jumping, and it is jumping quite fast now, they can take something out and put something in without tearing their whole home apart. And it does sound like a big project, but when you're doing it at the framing level, it's a lot less and a lot more cost effective for the homeowner than it is at the end when the home is all put together and it's just beautiful home. And now you have to cut open drywall and go that route to be able to pull this cabling through. So yeah, there's a lot of things to think about when you're looking at homes. And if you start with the backbone, and that would be the wiring of the home, you'll get many, many more years of enjoyment out of that home and be able to easily transition from one technology to the next as we grow and new things come out.
So I will say the analogy, I was showing property this morning. It's like when we go in an unfinished basement and we see the rough in for the plumbing.
Yes.
You know, the cost of the bathroom, of the fixtures, of the tile, that hasn't been spent yet. But you know what? You've got the framework, like you said. So you can put it in easily without tearing up the floor and the foundation to bring the pipe.
Correct. Yeah. So you don't have to tear up the ceiling or the walls. And that makes it a lot less expensive. And you can put it in now and plan for the future. If you know at some point that room is going to be where you're going to make your entertainment system for the family or make a home theater, before they put the walls up, pull the wire. Get that idea. It's not that expensive. You plan now and it'll save you tremendously in the future and give you a lot more options.
And a pointer that I've heard you say, and I tell my clients too, when you've got walls open, take tons of photos.
Yes.
Take the photos and catalog them because they will help you later, whether it's doing stuff like this or an insurance claim or whatever. It is really, really helpful to have those photos. Tim, we mentioned, planning for tech later, and we've got, this dream big, but start small. And right now somebody might have in their residence, Ethernet cable with what, Cat 5 is really common, I guess.
Cat 5e is common for our area, correct? Yeah,
and then Wi-Fi.
Which is a little bit different. That's not a wire. Wi-Fi is okay. So the difference is, one, you have a physical wire that you're making a physical connection to. The other is having a device that is connected to that and broadcasting the signal. So the signal is then broadcasted on two channels, 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. And it's broadcast throughout the home. And that is Wi-Fi.
Okay. And then, so that's what people have commonly now, but you're suggesting they plan for the future with fiber, right? Fiber optics. So
we're planning two things. So again, when we're talking to the builder, talking to the homeowner, we're seeing how important is the network. So at this point, we're gonna attack it two ways. People love to connect Wi-Fi. They like the convenience of it. Well, to do that, you also have to think of the network. The network is the backbone. So you get this package of information, and they'll say things like clouds and things like that. Excuse me. Wow. So what they're doing is you get a package and you got a certain amount of that. Well, when you talk about Wi-Fi, it's taking a percentage of that. And what you want to do is optimize that and be able to find it everywhere in your home. So we come through the home and do a walkthrough and make sure that the whole house is able to be covered in Wi-Fi. And then to get the best performance, we'll put what's called access points throughout the home. They get your full bandwidth, and then they redistribute it on each level. And then in important places like your office, the game room, TVs, we make hard connections. So that the more information that is off your Wi-Fi or using the Wi-Fi, even though one of the misnomers about Wi-Fi is, well, if I'm not on my phone, it's not being used. That's not true. All these components have Wi-Fi built into them, and they're constantly what's called pinging, letting them know that I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. And it could be something as simple as a TV. We found some of the control systems, it's just constantly pinging, saying, I'm here, I'm alive, I'm waiting for information. And that bogs down your network and makes it slower because it's information going back and forth, because it says, hey, I'm here. And the information down here back on the other end says, yes, I know you're here. And it responds. And that bogs down your system, makes it very, very slow. So when you plan for these things, you're able to eliminate those things which will make your Wi-Fi work a lot better. Hardline, you can have a lot of connections to your hardline connection, and it does not reduce the performance as much as Wi-Fi does. So the components like that, like the TVs and things like that, you want Hardwire to take it off your Wi-Fi, and then you get a lot more better performance with that. So there's lots of planning to go on to achieve that. Sorry, I went a little long on that question.
We have no, you're fine. We have convenience, we have performance, and we have
efficiency.
And efficiency, and then we have sort of how you're going to use your home, overarching this. How
Correct.
you
Yes.
decide what goes where. So you mentioned that you think the future is sort of in, or if you're doing these, you know, renovations or new home now, also plan that you should probably be using, you will be using fiber optics in the future, right? So
Fiber's coming. It's being rolled out everywhere. So it's going in stages, and communications we used to call it the last mile. It goes from a central location out to the field, and then from the field, the last mile was from your neighborhood to your home. So right now, the fiber's in a lot of people's homes, in a lot of people's area, like Alexandria. It's there in Alexandria, but it doesn't go from Alexandria into certain neighborhoods. So there's a limitation, but they're working at it all the time. There's ordinances that they're trying to do. Alexandria's kind of tricky because it's historic, but some of the newer areas like Ashburn, they have fiber right to their neighborhoods, and so they're then taking it from their neighborhoods right from a central location, what they would call a fiber hut, or it could be underground, and they take it right to someone's home, and they're actually bringing fiber into your home, and then they're converting it there to match the wiring that the house was wired. So what they're doing is they're going from optical all the way up to your home, to their device, which is called an ONT, an optical network terminating device. And then that is converting into electrical signal that connects to their router, then disperses it through the house. At some point, they're going to take it optically and hand it off optically, because there's a lot more bandwidth, which gives you a lot more efficiency, a lot more speed optically.
Okay. So
eventually that'll be going there, and we're going to eliminate a lot of the challenges that we face when converting optically to network, to optically to electrical, and then having these electrical connections try to talk to one another. So at some point, it's going to be a lot more IP driven, and it's going to be over an optical network. So in the future, a lot of these homes are going to have optical cables in the wall. You can actually get optical drops now that we've installed and made connections. So it is coming. That's why we suggest to builders that they put in corrugated tube, because right now, still a lot of homes are still wired electrically with coax, and right now they're using Cat 6 wire. But eventually that's going to be replaced to optical, to fiber, to fiber cable. So it's coming, and that's why we suggest to put the tubing in, or just put what's called dark fiber in, which is fiber not activated, which is not lit. There's no light source going into it. So there's lots of different strategies to do that, and there's a great debate, and they're trying to make sure manufacturers catching up to the demand, because the demand's already there, but then they've got to get manufacturing to catch up. So there's a lot going on. Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, and it is coming.
When we saw that last graphic, I mean, there's so many household components and devices that can be a part of this network. I'm calling it that. So I know we're starting to run a little short on time, but we talked a lot about the structure, right? The cabling and the fiber and you know, setting your home up a certain way. But also people, I think, are very confused by all of the different systems that are out there for actually streaming and watching TV, quote unquote, these days. You know, now people say watching their device. And things like Apple TV, Fire Sticks, Roku, you know, all of these streaming devices. Amazon has one, right? I mean, so a lot of times people can't make heads or tails, and they don't know what they want. They don't know what things are going to cost. Do you also have a consultative aspect to your business? That
we do.
You know,
our phones are actually answered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and for established customers, they can actually get a hold of us after hours as well. or if there's emergencies, we can help clients as well as potential clients if they have an emergency. So we're easy to get a hold of, and we will try to solve some of the issues because sometimes it's hard to get hold of these companies because they don't have the support, and we try to offer that to our clients.
Yeah.
Popping up on your screen now, they just brought up the control aspects of this, which is what, you know, when you're controlling your home. Well, we'll talk about that because I'll answer your other questions. So consultation, yes, we do have consultations so that we can answer clients' questions. It's a billable rate where we can come out to your home and help figure out what's going on in your home, diagnose it, and see if it's something that maybe you're doing, or maybe it's something that their product's not doing correctly. So to answer that question is yes, there is consultations available to do both planning, design, as well as troubleshooting existing systems.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably dumbing it down too much, but I sort of see it like computers. There are the hardware people and the software people, and you need both, right? So
Correct.
So let's talk about the types of controls here. This is a great graphic because I also think people get confused. How do I control things and how do I decide what to use? And there are a whole bunch of different methods, right?
Yes. So on the screen, the newest one is voice, and you know that you can come home and say, Alexa, turn on the lights. Alexa, turn on the TV. So, or you can say Google, turn air conditioning on. So yes, you can communicate with these devices audibly and talking to them. A lot where we're at, and most commonly that you find is remote. So every system that you purchase comes with remote control. When you're talking not so much lighting, they have wall controls, but like the audiovisual equipment, your sound equipment, your TV comes with a control. And then that is then combined in what's called universal remote controls. And that's when you talk URC, RTI, Savant, Control4. These actually take all the controls and put them into one. And then you could either have a hard control, like we see up on the screen on the right-hand side, or you can actually then convert it into your tablet or smartphone, which you see on the lower left and center of the screen. And what's not shown is like wall panels, which is like a small tablet put on the wall, and it looks it's a GUI, graphical interface, where it has apps on it, and you can actually control your lights and your HVAC and your EV
I think
equipment,
that's one
TV,
at
and
the
things
bottom
like
of the
that.
screen, isn't it?
Is that what that is? Oops,
Yeah.
let me move. Sorry. Yes, yeah, that's a wall controller right there. Sorry, I couldn't see that. I thought that was a tablet.
Okay.
So yes, because that's what it is. It looks just like that. It's a 7-inch screen that's mounted in the wall. You walk in, you touch it, it comes alive, and it actually has pictures of the room, and you can touch on a picture for lights, and then it brings up the pad for controlling the lights, and you can dim it. We're even getting to the point now that you can change colors for moods and things like that. So there's so much going on in technology right now, and they're just trying to get it all together and make it convenient for the homeowner.
So Tim, I know we need to wrap up, but I know you have an eye toward the future because of what you do, and you're involved in some associations that are great about educating and pulling all kinds of people from your industry together so you can all learn more from each other. But if you had to paint a picture for us of what residential real estate or homes might look like that are impacted by all of this technology and all this smart home automation, what would it look like? Like, could you paint a picture for us of a typical household?
Sure. A typical household is going to be a connected household. It's two-way communication between you and your components, and it could be something as simple as little Timmy has come home. He doesn't have a key anymore. He has a code. He touches the door, and he unlocks the door. As soon as he unlocks the door, his mom, Ann, we'll say, Ann gets the text and says, "Oh, the code's been used since the the phone knows that the code is little Timmy. She says, you know, little Timmy has come home. And then little Timmy is supposed to do his project because it's due this week. So Ann has turned off the TVs, so he can't turn it on. He has to go and log on. And as soon as he logs on, that can send another, because he goes under his computer. As soon as the computer turns on, you're notified and you know that he's there. You can let him know that it's there. I mean, you can actually go into your system and turn on the camera, and you can actually see him that he's there. But if you turn on the camera in his room and he's not there, and you turn the camera in the backyard, little Timmy's gone outside and decided he wants to play with the dog outside and not really go there. And then you can pick up your phone and say, Tim, stop fooling around, get upstairs. He's no longer Timmy, it's Timothy. Get upstairs, get on that computer and get to work. So, and then there's lots of interfaces. I mean, you could turn music on for him to help get him motivated. Lots of things you can do. So the future is now. It is here, and it's going to be a convenience for everybody. And it's gonna have challenges, because there's going to be days that it doesn't work quite right and do what you want it to do. But that's technology, and it's fun.
There might be days where little Timmy has to find the key that's hidden under the rock.
Yes. Well, hopefully not, because you don't want the.
I'm kidding.
Yes, Johnny, that's the burglar, find that same key. So it's much better if you have well, if little Timmy's forgotten his code, you can unlock that door for him.
True.
So you don't have to leave that key outdoor anymore. If you have your mom and dad coming down from Pennsylvania, you could, they could say, hey, we're here. Oh, great. And you just go pick up your phone, unlock the door for them, and they can come in, and you can turn the lights on for them. You can take the pool cover off the pool so they can go outside and relax by the pool. So technology is just fun. It is challenging, but it's super convenient and should make our lives a lot more fun and efficient in the future.
I had clients who had one of those houses in Arlington, Virginia, where it's in an urban area, and the front faced on a public sidewalk, and the back was an open garage, and there were buildings nearby, and they would have to get packages delivered when they were traveling or whatever. And, you know, their garage opener spoke to their phone, which spoke to Amazon somehow. Mm-hmm. And you can tell I don't know how all this works. And Amazon would come with a package, and they would have a code that worked one time.
Yes.
They could get in the garage, but they couldn't use a code to get into the house, which also had the automated locking system. And, you know, it was just the coolest thing, because they didn't have to worry about the security. And if the delivery person didn't put the door back down, they could put the door back down, you know, exactly, after the package was put inside the garage. So, you know, we have to learn. We have to get over the learning curve, and we have to learn what's possible and what we can do. But there are so many possibilities is what's really cool. And Tim, we're so glad that you joined us today. You've just I feel like you've just hit the tip of the iceberg. There's so many things we could talk about. So thank you for bringing your knowledge here today.
Oh, thanks for having us. It's been fun and enjoyable. And we're available for people that have questions. They can call us, send us emails. This is what we do, and we, you know, no question is silly. It's like I said, it's what we do, and it's what we really, really enjoy.
Well, we're glad you do it. Your contact information was just up on the screen. Again, I said at the beginning, if anybody wants to get in touch with you or has questions, we're happy to help facilitate that. We did get a question from somebody asking if you do home audio. They want to do speakers in their ceiling. Yep. And we will make sure that they know that, and they can get in touch with you, because they are within your 45-mile range. Jennifer, I know we're wrapping up. Anything else I need to add, or any questions here?
Nope, we're getting low on time, so.
All right, well, we will sign off then. Thanks for joining us for Ask the Expert. We'll be back. I think we have a vacation schedule, so we'll get some information out about that. But thank you for joining us today. Tim, thank you so much, and we will look forward to catching everybody next time.
All right, thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ann.